Not wasting time. Tweet Talk, episode USA.
What up?
What it do, y'all?
We are live. Yep, he popped up while the intro was playing.
Hey.
Perfect timing.
Can y'all see?
Tweet Talk.
I need to turn down the light so we good.
It's good to me. Welcome to the episode, y'all. We got the brother LaMontre Randall in the building. Of course, we got Raphael Husbands and myself, Todd. Billy, live on YouTube. And you guys are in for a special treat. Did we record one of these last week?
We did. Jamal.
Yes. Episode USA World Cup going on right now. I had to get my jersey, had to get my kit. They call them kits in soccer. It's a lot of new language in soccer I had to learn. It's not called a game, it's called a match. So it was really exciting. I got a chance to watch USA versus Iran. You can't say Iran, it's Iran. A lot of controversy surrounded that game, man. Apparently, they said, I guess they are protesting. There's something going on in Iran. I think it has to do with women's rights or something. And so the players didn't sing the national anthem the match before they played USA. They threatened them with to torture their families, to do all these different things if they didn't sing the national anthem on TV. This is what doesn't happen in America. Some stuff happens in America. It's more covert, but it's not that blatant in your face. We're going to torture your family. That's crazy over the national anthem. Colin Kaepernick, he got fired, but he didn't get tortured. It's crazy. He essentially got tortured. They do what they can. They don't do the extreme stuff, but they try to do something. They're going to try to Kanye you.
Right. People forget that in other countries you could lose your life speaking up, man.
Yep.
You can lose your life. Welcome to Tweet Talk, episode 145. Welcome to Tweet Talk, folks. The Black 12 podcast with your host, Raphael Husbands, and my co-host, Charles Oglesby III, JD, a.k.a. Todd Billionaire, where we talk about building black wealth and we break down these financial tweets. It sounds like we are live on IG.
Yeah, I was trying to mute it, but it was moving a little bit too slow.
What's going on this week in Todd Capital World?
Just got an award, so finally got my official plaque. It's not here. Once it comes, I'm gonna have to put it up so people can see it in the background, kind of like a YouTube plaque. Man, I want one of those YouTube plaques. Those things are super cool. But I got my award from Gumroad, so shout out to that. And outside of that, man, Black Friday was amazing. Ran it up Black Friday through Cyber Monday. And having a good old time trying to finish this home that's taking forever, the forever home. And just out there vibing.
But you gotta go back, man. You gotta tell us what the award was. You gotta tell the people. I know what it is, kind of, but tell the people.
So the award was for $1 million in sales on Gumroad. I thought it was gonna be more because I'd done more than an M. So I was like, is there another one in there somewhere?
I was surprised too. It's like, wait, is it late? Like,
Yeah. But I mean, I appreciate the thought nonetheless. I actually got an email from them and they were saying, like, hey, we want to do something special for our creators. Can you send us an address for you? And so at first I had to make sure it was the right Gumroad, because these days you never know who's impersonating somebody. So I was like, let me make sure this is the right email address. So I checked to make sure it was like a legit email address, and I sent him the PO box, because I still had to be careful. And yeah, it came in the mail yesterday. Went to my parents' house, or I actually went to the PO box, which is close to their house. So she picked it up, did all that cool stuff. And it's just cool to have something physical that's there. Show it to my son, all that cool stuff. And just out here vibing.
that's cool, man. I thought that was cool when I saw it when you posted it. And those YouTube plaques though, you gotta have like crazy subscribers. It's funny because I know a friend of mine, her daughter, she got one of those. She might have got two of those. I forget what the size of her audience is, but she got a big audience.
Yep. I don't know if Earn Your
That's
Leisure
crazy.
has one yet, but they might, and they should, because they're up there. But I think they do one at like 100,000, and they do another at like 1 million. But you got to be grinding. It takes a video per.
Yeah.
You really got to work for YouTube to get stuff like that. Like at this
She's
point,
been on there for years, like consistently. I don't watch the channel because she does like wigs and beauty tutorials, so I'm not exactly her target audience, but I still subscribe. And I saw the other day that she hit the milestone. She got a couple of the awards. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But she's been at it for years though.
you got to be at it for a while, man. People be trying to overnight everything.
And I think she's still young.
Are you at the WeWork?
Nah, man, I put a WeWork in my house, man. We got
That's
the swing jumping off, big screen
That's dope,
TV. Ignore the clothes. But yeah, we
Is that
did
a
an
basement?
accent wall.
Is
Yeah,
that a
that's my
basement?
basement.
I wish we
Yeah.
had basements in California.
And on that note, I'd like to welcome to the show our brother, long time coming, LaMontre Randall. Introduce
Hey.
yourself to the people, LaMontre.
Hey, y'all, I'm LaMontre Randall, one of the founders of Kioba Business Ventures, a group of black brothers, over 30 of us that decided to come together, do community development work in Baltimore. Also got a consulting firm, also a cleaning business. Yeah, man, I pretty much connect people from the suites to the streets. So.
I like that. Now, what you didn't mention is you were one of the early.
I don't know how I did that.
How'd I disappear?
My bad. I was trying to take the logo off.
What you didn't mention is that you were one of the early members of the Todd Capital Investment Club.
Yes. Somebody just out of nowhere recommended, like, saw the different work I was doing in the community and said, hey, check out this one guy doing great work. And I was like, wait a minute, there's more people out there trying to make sure everybody else make money together. I was like, oh yeah, I'm down. And at that point in time, we was like, yeah, let's put a stack. Everybody's putting a stack together. We was going to buy properties in Detroit, and it was real low. And we was like, yeah, let's jump in. Let's make it happen. And I'm just that type of guy, man. I'm like, let's put our bread together and really create some real wins. Because that's when you can really create even more real wins. When everybody put their money together, we can do big stuff.
Cool. What we talking about, folks, is a Todd Capital Investment Group that was put together 4 or 5 years ago, where the concept was that, folks, we can do it if you just put together small amounts. Even small amounts of money could go a long way if you put it together.
Yeah, but it wasn't. What the crazy part was, I don't even think it was properties when you first started. Was it stocks at first?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get in
the stock market.
everything. Yeah, so I was getting in everything. I was putting money in the stocks, in the properties, I was trying to get in where I fit in, man.
Then eventually it was vending machines and mobile barbershops.
Yeah, everybody who's been listening to the past tweet talks know about the infamous mobile barbershop. I think we all
Oh,
learned business lessons in that.
yeah.
I think
what LaMontre, what do you say you learned from the whole mobile barbershop experience?
we you gotta, with something like that, a move in real estate, you gotta be actually in that city in order to really manage it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think kept we thought it would be a smooth process, but when you get people involved and assets able to move, some people, especially if they don't have no skin in the game, then they really don't. What can I say? They don't have your best interest at heart most of the time, and so that's why you got to be able to have your eyes on it. So
Mm. That's interesting. Yeah, uh, that's cool. I got your insight on that. Charles, what would you say? Like short answer. Like, what do you learn from the whole like quick little points that you learned from the whole barbershop experience, mobile barbershop?
Mm, I mean, I've talked about it before. Just kind of like the expectation that everything's not going to be a success. Um, I think, man, requiring a much higher deposit would have been ideal. So when he said skin in the game, that's what it sounded like to me. Is like high deposit. Like that would have made sense. Um, Not being so anxious to get started that you potentially work with somebody who's not a good person. Um, I mean, the barbershop industry is so unique because you got a lot of thugs cutting hair, and thugs do thug stuff, and thugs handle business like thugs. And if you're not a thug, you're gonna have a hard time battling a thug. And so, yeah, it was an experience, and I mean, I can't really like talk about what I learned because it's not something that I was like I would do that again. So I wasn't really looking for the gems. I was trying to salvage what was there. So like usually like if there's a gem, it's because I want to leverage that opportunity to something different. And I think I just learned that I don't really want to work with that kind of person and that kind of clientele. And that's even the way I am with like tenants to these days. Like I don't want somebody who has the potential to take it to that point. Like I don't want to work with no contractors who can potentially take it to that point. I don't want to work with tenants who can potentially take it to that point to where it becomes unprofessional and it kind of becomes hood. Like I've done that in the past where like just as recently as like having the painter. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in front of the house and the painter shows up and I thought he was a straight bum. I thought he was homeless. And this is the guy that I'm paying money to, a good amount of money. I was like, that's kind of weird. And then it turned into a ghetto situation. So it's like when I interact with somebody, I need to make sure that we're on the same page, that we carry ourselves and conduct ourselves and have that kind of a thing because there's always going to be a disagreement. Always going to be a disagreement.
always.
Like I don't think it's possible to deal with somebody and not disagree with something or not agree with and not disagree with something. And so we need to make sure that we can disagree professionally and it doesn't turn into somebody trying to pull a gun out. Like, fam, I'm not going to try to fight you over some money. Worst case scenario, we can go to court and discuss it. But that's just all I would say. That's what I realized.
Yeah, I asked you because we have talked about it over the years, over and over and over again. But now it's like it's different. Now you're not like going through it. You're not in the middle of it now anymore. Not really. So now you can kind of see it more objectively, kind of. Now, LaMontre, you mentioned earlier your venture Kioba Business Ventures. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? When you started, and how did you get 30 people together to build something?
Yeah, man. One of my big homies, Rennie, he was trying to get, you know, pretty much get people to come together, work together, and he invited a couple people out. Um, believe it or not, it was 100 of us at first, over 100, and we all were supposed to collectively, throughout 4 years, put money up. But the most important thing, it wasn't the money; it was the time. Also, make time commitment to building the business out. And what happened is everybody say they about something, but really don't be about it. And in our community, we also got to talk about money management. So, some people may have not had bread at the time, and that's not dissing nobody, you know. Um, but it was, I think we need to talk about money management more. But within that, we started growing, and as years go by, just like you saying now, I'm a trained mediator here in Maryland, and so when you got so many different brothers with different backgrounds, we got lawyers, doctors, restaurant owners, $1 million developers, to professors, to regular old Joes. You know what I'm saying? That's working in the city. So we diverse, right? And so everybody is a boss in their own right. And so me, as the youngest of them all, I'm sort of like the I'll say the emotional intelligence manager for everything, and really kind of serve as the glue for the team.
Okay, okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but people actually, once you guys formed the venture, some of you guys actually learn like skills, like home building skills,
Correct.
something.
Correct. So when we go and do our development work, we try to go within the community. We got different brothers from different backgrounds. Some who had prison experience before, some who have outreach experience before, and some who already have skills in different trades, right? And so our goal is when we go into the community, so the community don't go and you know what they do a lot of times is you'll go and fix up a property, and someone will come and steal all your items in the property. So we try to really engage with the community, hire within the community, and build community skills. So that's kind of been our thing, and also it's called Kioba Business Ventures. And so our goal was never to just do a house at a time, one house at a time, right? Or just focus on just strictly development. We recognized that we needed realtors, so we started our own realtor firm where we having more than one realtor within Kioba. Uh, I'm one of the MHIC certified contractors, so we got the contracting side where we just partnered with one of the Fortune 50 companies. It's either Lowe's or Home Depot. I can't say which one, but it's one of them. And right now we're working to build out a restaurant, which we pretty much will be sealing the deal within that by tomorrow. And we are working to build out a historical uh, black arts club that used to exist in Baltimore, but was tore down and shut down. And we bringing it back to life, working with the city government. So that's in store with Kioba. And I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all might see my kitty cat. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know why, but she just. I feel like uh, I feel like the Godfather when he's rubbing the cat. She does whatever she wants to do. Get down, Bonnie. Get down. Get down. Yeah, she has a mind of her own.
So, what are you
Raphael,
guys
you were
working on
saying
right
something
now?
too? I think
What are you guys
your mic.
working on right now?
Right now, so like I said, the restaurant is getting built. We're trying to
What kind of
finalize
restaurant is
that. Yeah, so the restaurant we should be owning that starting tomorrow. Um, you said what type of restaurant?
it? Yeah, what kind of restaurant?
So we're working on building out the menu now. Uh, but it's going to have I got to change, but it's going to have a mixture of soul food, but also vegan options. What we're not going to do is fried foods, because we believe in uplifting the community, and we know,
Mm.
fried foods. We kind of been, you know, involved in that a lot within our community. It's been killing us. But
Mm.
uh, also we're doing 6 properties right now. One is actually near Copper State, which we are going to do a buy and hold and have that as a training center. And we're working on having our own insurance firm, and so the insurance company will be able to hire within the community and also have a location within the community as well. And the other properties we're pretty much flipping for first time home buyers, those in the community that really want to stay in the community. I hope it's for them to buy it. And yeah, and just trying to build out the company, create systems. um like I said, when you dealing with certain Fortune 100 type of company, uh you need a lot of systems in place. And there's a lot of different moving parts, a lot of different contractors, a lot of different teams. And so making sure your project manager is tight, but also making sure you know how to manage your losses. Like I got like a 5,000 loss that I got to manage right now. That's just from one project, right? And it comes with the game, you know. Um, so
That is a good thing you don't have just one thing going.
yeah, no, that's why I'll tell you, man. I'm so happy y'all have Andre Hatchet, different things and different brothers like that on the show, and also Charles, right? Um, Having the different streams of income is so crucial. That really determines the longevity of you being able to be in business and withstand. Like you can't operate off of one stream of income. When the development side is going slow, the consulting side picks up, right? uh when the consulting side is going slow, the cleaning business pick up. So you know you gotta have continuous streams of income, and then also within the different sectors that you in, you want to diversify your clients too, right? And
Hmm.
so you don't just want one company you're dealing with, you want several, right? You want to deal with the city government, you want to deal with the federal government, you know so but you also got to manage cash flow. Um, they A lot of times when you're dealing with government agencies, they operate off of a net 30, 60, or net 90. That means you get paid 30 days
90.
from the job,
Wow.
60 days from the job, and 90 days from the job. Y'all know contractors just like I know contractors, right? They are not waiting to get that money. And when you're dealing with government contracts, it's good because it'd be good amount of money, right? But you got to have enough uh income or enough sort of cash set to the side where you could flow those projects. And so a lot of times we can't get involved in those projects like that, because we don't have no cash set aside. Um,
Mm.
so
It's
yeah,
interesting you say that because, you know, we talk about how like life insurance is kind of like the new hustle. I shouldn't say that. Not the new hustle. Life insurance is like one of the new shiny objects right now in like the black wealth type of like influencer community. And another thing is also government contracts. It's not that these things are bad. It's just like they're like the hot things right now. So, but you don't see people talk a lot about the net 30, 60, 90, like you just said. When you said net 90, I'm like, damn,
but
you gotta
it
wait
never
three
comes
months.
on time. So it'll be net 90, but really, it's going. You gonna have to wait 6 to 12 months
Mm.
sometimes,
Oof.
and so it's that can you stand the rain, and that's real, right? Um, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with everyone. Like, I was dealing with our school system, and I had a mentoring program, right?
Mhm.
And we were supposed to get paid net 30. I did not know that the school system was so slow, and I really did get paid that following year. It took a whole year for me to get my money. So you got to make sure, even when you're dealing with these different agencies or different companies, you have an inside person that you can trust, that can give you the real, help you navigate, and really help with pushing the timing, um, so you can better calculate your cash flow. Even though but just have it in your mind, it's never going to come when you need it. It just it's just never going, it's never going to come on time. Just don't even think about it coming on time.
Got you. Got you. Now, so Kioba is pretty much like the embodiment of this tweet that Charles has: stop serving their community and start serving your own.
uh,
About to say that's a good
so
one.
I was thinking when I got my award, and I was like, man, I remember I used to work jobs where they used to tell me like, this isn't good enough, or you aren't good enough, or we're not going to pay you this much, and really being criticized and condemned and just talked down on. And I remember I was reading this book, and it was talking about how like there was this lady who was a maid in like a white community, and they would like belittle her and dismiss her. But when she went to her community, she was Mrs. Johnson. Got respect from Mrs. Johnson. She's your mom, she's your grandma, she's your auntie, she's a figure in the area. And so what I realized in business is, and in life in general, I feel like for some reason we as a community feel like we got to get them to like us. We got to get them to accept us. We got to get the Grammys. We got to get the Oscars. We got to get that kind of stuff in order to be deemed worthy. And in a lot of instances, they're not going to give it to you. And if they do give it to you, they're going to give it to you a small percentage of you. And so the thought is, instead of trying to force yourself to be loved by people who don't love you, just go where you're loved and just serve your community and add value to your community and get the respect you deserve, which therefore translates into confidence, which therefore translates into a lot of other things. And so you don't necessarily have to create something for all people. You don't got to be trying to get those jobs, trying to get into those colleges, that kind of stuff. That is the reason why we feel, I would say, inferior in a lot of ways, is because we're trying to get what somebody else's has instead of just using what we produce. And that's what every other community does. No other community cares if we like them. They don't care. They're
Mhm.
not like, oh man, I wish black people liked me. Then I'd feel like I was somebody. No, they're like, we like us and we like our food and we like our traditions and we like our clothing. In fact, y'all stay out because this is us over here.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
is the reason why a lot of people struggle. That's a lot of the reasons why we get robbed, why we lose our resources, why Africa is being plundered, because we don't see value in what we have. And so you got to start seeing value in what you have, who you could potentially serve. Otherwise, you're just going to be frustrated and need all this therapy and stuff. Like a lot of folks need therapy because they're trying to get love from people who don't love them and won't ever love them because they don't have it. Like a person can't, a person who feels confident or feels as though they're better than you can't allow you to think that you're better than them, because that flies in the face of their superiority complex. So I just don't play into it. Like, oh,
Yep.
you're not feeling me, fine. Like, I'm gonna stay over here and I'm gonna do me because I don't need it. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know what I've accomplished. Even so much as like living in certain neighborhoods, like people will look at you like you don't belong. It's like, fam, I did everything right. Like, and I don't need to prove it to you. Like, that's the reason why I'm an entrepreneur, is because in part because I wanted to make a lot of money, but also just my experience working in jobs, it didn't coincide with the level of confidence that I have in myself. I was raised to have a lot of confidence in myself. I was raised to think I was great. And then you go into the world and the world's like, you ain't great. In fact, you ain't shit. I'm like, that's not the way I see things. And so it's just not going to vibe with me. So the real gym is whatever you're creating, do it for your community. Whatever you're building, do it for your community. Whatever is on your minds in terms of innovation, like solve the problems of your community. And as a result, everybody's better off. And this is the last thing I'm going to say before I end this. I was talking to Dan when we were playing golf, and he was talking about how he's set up a system where, like, when he promotes something, like he held a conference, Michelle spoke at the conference, Henry chopped up the content from that conference, all 3 mastermind members, and then he took the content that Henry chopped up and posted on his page. And every time he posts it, Michelle retweets it. And I was like, I realized that business is a way that everybody gets ahead. If you're an employee and somebody gets ahead, that means you can't get ahead because there's only one spot. There's only one quarterback position.
Yeah.
There's only one head coaching position. There's only one of those. But in business, it creates this dynamic where your wins are other people's wins. Your success is other people's success. And so it's kind of the cheat code. All you got to do is stop working jobs and get a business. And then everybody will be good. It's not a Todd Capital, Todd Billy thing. It's just a general principle of business of when you engage in business, it benefits multiple people, not just you. And so that's what we got to continue to rush towards that lane.
I agree. I agree, man. And I'll say, man, pretty much what you're saying is go where you appreciate it, not where you tolerate it, right? I'll say this, man. When I went to University of Maryland College Park, and I had on my wall, get my family out the hood. And I was trying to fit in, right, to that institutional space. Then a situation happened. A white woman on campus accused me of armed robbery, and I almost got shot and killed by the police. They surrounded me and everything. Um, Come to find out, a black detective went into the scene and dig deeper after I kept telling them I ain't do nothing. Right? They got me in the cell and everything. Um, it's crazy because this campus got all these cameras. But come to find out, I didn't even know this woman. I guess I walked past her. She felt threatened, and so she called 911 and made up this whole story. Um, Her family member, it worked for the feds, so she ended up, getting free. The police pressed charges on her, but she ended up getting free. And if I really, so I started navigating that, and I was like, man, my goal is no longer get my family out the hood. My goal really now is to uplift my hood and put that neighbor back in hood. And so that's what I've been all about ever since that incident happened, man. I've really been about really engaging, uplifting, and being about my community, and not so much of trying to get away from my community. I know my community has its issues, but if it takes men and women, but specifically, I'm gonna touch on it. I don't care what anybody says. Men, we need to step up and play our part and hold down the fort, especially when it comes to the community. And so that's what it's all about, and that's what I'm all about.
Why
And
are
we can
men
do
so
that when
important?
we work together. Period.
Why are men so important? Because I believe that to be true as well.
Yeah, yo, I think men is so important. Man, I look at the difference. So I'm looking at my elevation, and I could see a difference because I had two fathers, stepfather and a biological father. Both were in my life heavy, and I see growing up from where I grew up in East Baltimore, everyone who didn't have a father that I grew up either died or on drugs or stuck. Everyone that did have a father are good. They living prosperous lives, You know, they able to better uplift their community. And I think it's a shame right now within our community. We really pushing this independent lane when we really need to focus on interdependence, right? Where
Mhm.
we really need to focus on helping, making sure that we rely on each other and building with each other, because that's where good communities come. And the real thing is, when you look at it, I study stats all the time. If you really, really, really care about your child and what the best results for your child, it only comes when you really, really have parents in the home,
Hmm.
right? And specifically that man. And I just see results every day.
I would
And that's
say,
why I hated the mentoring program. It was nothing but single mothers that wanted me to pretty much be the dad, and I'm like, I'm not the dad. He knows I'm
dad
not
is
the
the
dad.
dad.
I'm trying to do everything I can, but he still needs that dad,
Yeah.
you know. And it sucks,
I
but
don't.
it
I don't.
is like he still
I
needs
don't
that
believe in
dad.
father figures, man. I don't believe in father figures. I believe in fathers and maybe a stepfather. But I don't think nobody can be a father figure. But I think what's interesting, and I can make this point because I finally have somebody saying what I would say, is we're talking about the importance of men and then talk about the importance of dads, but we're not saying it should just be dad. We're saying it takes both. It takes the mother and the father. We're already assuming the mother's going to be there, but we're saying that you can't do it, and it's not advised that you do it without the man. So we're not saying women are doing it wrong. They're not necessary, which often becomes a narrative when it's discussed about men. We're saying, nah, fam, we matter. We're necessary, and so are you. There's a lot that you do that is necessary and important, and we definitely acknowledge
Mhm.
that. But don't dismiss that we don't matter. That's the thing, is we're just trying to say, like, you're saying that they're not necessary and you can do it on your own, and we're saying that's not true. And I
And
think that
I'll
that could
piggyback
be a
on that.
narrative that could be accepted.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that, man. A lot of people like, all right, why is Kioba just consist of men? I'm like, we constantly see the men in our community committing crimes, right? Not where we supposed to be within our community, right? Compared to other communities, we gotta work together. We gotta build that collective bond. I'll say here in Baltimore, the sisters are doing it. The
Right.
sisters are finding ways to work together, or they already got resources, right? Like Section 8, I'm dealing with it now. Like Section 8 is more willing to help support a lot of the moms, with children than a lot of the fathers sometimes, right? Or even with the food stamps and different things like that. Like it takes a lot for a lot of men to navigate this system, and we got to work together so we can build resources in our community, because it's not the government job to do it. That's how I firmly believe. I don't think it's the government job. It's our job as a
I
community.
think it's definitely not the government's job. The government is not your homie. They pretend to be your homie. They're not your homie. But I think what I like about Kioba and why I think it's important that you guys do kind of move the way you move is, like you said, like there's already women's organizations, there's already all these other things women are doing. And if it were to not be what it is, you run the risk of it being overtaken again. And then there's not a male-led situation. So then it becomes another female organization. And so you need that balance, because it's like now you need both. We need both. We need female organizations and we need male organizations. And if we let it become not what it currently is, it runs the risk of being another female organization. And then we come out of balance. So we're just trying to restore the balance in the community. We're not saying the feminine and all that stuff's not necessary. We're trying to say that there's balance. You can't go anywhere if you only got one leg. You just limp along. We just out here limping, and folks think we walking and running. Like, nah, we just struggling to surviving, fam. This is not it. It's obviously
And
just not it.
and it's a serious matter, right? It's so much of a serious matter. We don't want no distractions. Brothers can get easily distracted. I've been in meetings so many different times with different organizations where a brother will say something that he don't agree with just because he's trying to cuddle up with the girl. right?
Dudes do it on the line. On dudes do that stuff on Twitter all the time. They be capping and just what do they call that word? Pandering. But there's another
Yeah,
word
Yeah,
for it.
pandering.
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 Yeah, man, and it's like, yo, sisters want the real. Give them the real. And as men, we gotta stand on our 10 toes. And if you have a certain belief system and it's in the right mindset and it's about uplifting the community, you just can't be scared to say your viewpoint. As men, we got. I got so many friends who I love. We share the same values, but we sometimes we don't agree on the same thing, and that's cool because everybody got different backgrounds, right? Everybody didn't go through the same situation I've been through. Some people went through worse, right? Some people had it better. So when you come to the table, we all gotta respect each other's point of views.
I would ask you, kind of going off topic, but I don't want to forget it. Is when you went through that experience of being accused and being arrested, did anything change in your life? I mean, you said something changed, but like in sense of like urgency and things like that.
Yeah. So it's funny. I actually went through a darkness sort of period where I just had to get my mind right, right? And it took the community, the black community, really, that uplift me and get me right. And I actually took a break from school, and my university called me, and they said, "Hey, LaMontre, we want to hire you for this consulting project." I was like, "What is a consultant?" I didn't know what a consultant was. and,
Wait,
and,
you were a
and so,
student?
yeah,
You
yeah,
were a
yeah.
student
So,
and they called you? Okay.
yeah, and so I was like, what is a consultant?" So they was like, "Yeah, we got this project. We want to bring together Baltimore high school students and University of Maryland College Park journalist students and create an art exhibit called Be More Than the Story." And so this was after the uprising, and I was in the community, just being a heavy activist. And they told me what they was gonna pay. It was like $75 an hour, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a consultant." And so that's really how that's how my consulting business started. Because I recognized I was giving out all this advice to institutions for free, right? On how to bring better resource to the community. And so that art exhibit put me on the map and actually won so many different global awards. And I believe the website is still up, called Be More Than the Story. And that was with a good professor, Audra Buck Coleman, and Nalaya Kaya, I believe is her last name. Um, she's a great person as well. Um, and just I learned right then and there, like, okay, I'm really that person to help bring the people from the streets to the streets.
Like that, like that. Now you mentioned earlier about, you said go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. But also what that made me think of is sometimes it's not just about people tolerating you or whatever or celebrating you. It's also like go where you have a bigger impact too. Like
I
Yeah.
I I keep thinking about this Drake verse, man, because oh no, it's actually Kanye. I think Kanye said, "Don't leave when you hot." That's how Mick screwed up. And so, whenever I think about leaving my community, I'm like, why would I do that? I'm doing good work. I'm hot right now. I'm able to help put money in other people's pockets, and So whenever I kind of think of betraying my community, I gotta always remember, like, nah, man, this is what we do it for. It's no turning back.
want to know what we do and who we do it for.
If not us, then who?
Hmm. Right, right, man. Where we got the biggest impact because at their institutions, they fire you, they let you go, whatever. They can. It's easier to replace you because you're just a cog in the wheel, but they can't replace LaMontre, they can't replace you in your own neighborhood.
They can't.
They can't.
And
man.
they it's funny because if like you lived in their community and they fired you, you'd still be in their community. But if they fire you and you don't even live there, it's like, they don't really making no blip in the radar around here. So, and I would just say, like, I don't say these things in a way that like I dislike somebody, but I'm not gonna allow somebody to pull the okie doke on me. I'm not gonna allow somebody to tell me one thing and be doing something different in the meeting, or tell me one thing and then be saying something different in the meeting. It's like, I'd rather know how you really feel so I can move accordingly instead of believing that one day I'm gonna get this promotion, one day I'm gonna get this raise, one day I'm gonna be accepted, and it never happens. I don't got enough time for that, fam.
I'm so happy you mentioned that. So Kioba, like I said, started with over 100 brothers, right? We recognize that some brothers weren't honorable. We believe in brotherhood, and then come the money. The most important thing about what we do is the brotherhood. We say it 5 times: brotherhood, 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 brotherhood. And so, it
That was
at the
four
end of the
times.
day, if you all about yourself and not being upfront with the brotherhood, it got consequences. You're not having the same set of morals and values that we all agreed upon. And so, as men, we had them conversations up front with brothers, and we let it be known. And I love Kioba too, because we got so many brothers, right? To the point where if somebody does talk bad about us, it always comes back. It always comes back. It's always like, okay, oh, all right, that's so that person was lying to us and just showing face. Okay,
I want to try
so
Damn.
something really quick.
What is Charles doing?
See what the
you about to
podcast
rap
sounds like
to
with
us?
background music. You know, I used to do my podcast with background music on it.
I love
It
it.
was fire.
I never heard your podcast with background music on it. I don't think so.
It was like the early
Nah, I can't
episode.
remember.
We
Oh,
adding some swag to it, man.
Okay, all right. I might as well rap. Here I go.
Right. It sounds like some.
Yo, money on my mind. I'm on the grind to keep my family straight. Millions for the job. You ain't grind, and I can't relate.
Ty Billy on the track. It's tweet talk. We in the streets talk with the USA jersey. I just played golf like 18 holes. They call me Tiger Billy, but it's not really Tiger Billy. It's really Liger Billy, like Napoleon Dynamite.
this guy, Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh man.
And we gonna get to these tweets.
That we gonna call that the Sigma freestyle, y'all.
Charles, you say capitalism is slavery in a suit.
Man, sometimes I feel bad saying that because I you know what's interesting? I used to be really pro capitalism, and I think I still am. I love capitalism. I love the idea of business. But I was thinking about, like, I noticed that a lot of these like big companies are buying up like influencer marketing. And so now people call it a brand deal. They're like, I got a brand deal. But really it's like this corporation is paying you. And so what I'm starting to realize is like a lot of these corporations really step on the little guy. And they kind of can prevent you from getting to the point to where you should be. But I saw somebody tweet something and it said something about capitalism. And so I was like, I think capitalism in a lot of instances is really just like slavery in a suit. And a lot of these, like these jobs, these like these firms, they really just want to pimp you. And I'm seeing this because a lot of people older, like close to me, are starting to get sick. And like, man, you didn't really get any freedom out of all this. You had to work, and to the point where like you didn't really get a chance to enjoy life. The whole time the boss out here living how he want to live, riding how he want to live, doing all these other things. And so I mean, on one hand, it's kind of contradictory because like my brand is business. And I think that by default, we think that business means capitalism. But I've always told us that we don't have to do capitalism the way that they do capitalism. We don't have
At all.
to take advantage of people. We don't have to lowball them and pay them bad. And a lot of times when you're doing business with somebody and it's a bad deal, it's because they don't understand that we don't have to do it like that. You don't have to rob somebody to get ahead. You don't have to lowball somebody to get ahead. You don't have to do bad business to get ahead. In fact, if you did better business, and if we learn how to do what I call like socialist capitalism, which I think is what other communities engage in, if we did socialist capitalism, I think that we'd be better off because now we're cooperatively working together to build wealth as opposed to just robbing the next guy, taking from the next guy. And so one example of that is I was talking to Dan today and he was talking about land. He's like, you got to get in land. I was like, honestly, I don't want to be in your lane, man. Keep your lane. We don't got to flood the lane as if that's the only way to make money is that. But a lot of times what happens is we see a way to make money, everybody floods it, and now it's not a way to make money anymore. Because now we're just pushing the prices down. Everybody's competing on price. Now there's no profit. There's no profit. You have no business. And so we have to approach economics intelligently.
Amen. Bar
Don't have
drop.
to do it like
And I think you mentioned the great thing, being a social entrepreneur, because I think what's missing a lot of times, and we see it within our community, people don't know their life mission statement. Like, that's why you get swayed to go do life insurance, but you're not really into it. Or you swayed to buy land, but that ain't really what you into. Like, it's always going to be something trendy. Go with what God plan or purpose is for you. Because it's way bigger than you. My if I went my way, I would have just had the cleaning business. God was like, no, I got way bigger vision than that for you. And and I give shout out when they need to. The first person that to kind of help me think or really help me tap on the real estate side of my real estate goal was Jay Morrison. People don't know Jay Morrison came here during the uprising, and we worked towards bringing other brothers to the table, him and his team, and we was working on building the Baltimore Black Wall Street. Right? It was actual meeting where a bunch of black leaders were at the table. Right? Now this never happened, but this is when I saw like, oh, okay, we can come together as a community, and and that's when I recognized like, okay, real estate can have community impact. I just gotta get these brothers to work together, and that's what Kioba was. Because we as Baltimore, we so safeguarded, we ain't gonna trust no outside person with their vision. Because we know what's needed in our community. People gotta have skin in the game, is what I call it, in order for it to really, happen. Like that's kind of what I see.
While we're on the subject, everybody knows I'm pro Jay Morrison, but I'm curious, why do you think he gets a bad rap? And what would you say? And do you think it's warranted? Why do you think it's a bad rap? And do you think it's warranted?
I'll tell
And you don't
everybody,
have to be
man.
politically correct. It's tweet talk, man. You don't got to be
All
politically
right, yes,
correct.
this tweet talk, man. Look, so in Baltimore, as I was talking about, so Jay had this thing called YMC, Young Minds Can, right? And he was working on, trying to get youth to think more about entrepreneurship. One of the things he wanted to do was pretty much teach real estate in the community. He was working on pretty much having a real estate class, and it was going to be in the church. I fussed Jay out. I said, Jay, people aren't responding to you because of church stuff. You got to take it to the streets. That's why everybody felt as though you had an answer. And so I was saying, Jay, you need to take it to the corner. And the corner class was born. And so, and that's been one of, and I give Jay his credit whenever, man, to you to do a worldwide tour, teaching real estate on the corner. That was dope. That was dope. I give credit. And I'll say this, even if the Legacy Center or the Tulsa Real Estate Fund don't work out, it did show us that we can, with just as little as $500 or just as little as $100, put our money together and buy assets as a community. And when I saw that, when we all as a community saw that happen, now I'm seeing it pop up everywhere, right? And so just off the strength of that, I appreciate him for that. And I'll never talk bad about another black man on camera. To be honest with you, I think we do that enough. I tell anybody, man, I had a personal relationship with the brother. Just like any other brother, we may have our differences, but at the end of the day, you taught me something, and I taught you something. It is what it is. Sweets to the streets.
Man, I was at one of his corner classes too. That was cool.
Yeah, it started in Baltimore. I helped start it.
I'm trying to find this see if it'll let me do it. Hold on one second. Let me see if it'll let me do it. It might not let me do it. Nah, it's not gonna let me do it. Dang.
And I'll say this. My cousin was on the corner, which is why I was mad. On that exact corner where the church was that he was thinking about doing outreach at. And so he was selling drugs and he got shot. And so I was like, nah, the street brothers need another way, another route. You relatable. Take it to them. Everybody else will follow. And that's what happens, man. In our community, it's so weird, man. We don't really follow the business owners. We follow the street dudes, right? I hate to say it, but it is what it is. And so, if we could get the right resources to those dudes and they figure out different ways of hustling and navigating, because all they are is entrepreneurs. And we put the right product in their hand, they could sell it every day. And so we got brothers like that that's in Kioba that changed their life around. And now they into real estate, or now they into insurance, right? Or now they into starting their own car dealership. So we got brothers that got their own car dealerships, man. All right.
I think that's dope. I think that's really cool. I like what you said about never talking bad about another brother. I think that is really cool, especially on camera, especially in the era of people getting online talking crazy about Kanye and Kyrie. We need to have like a code, man.
We gotta have a code, yo.
Definitely.
And for those who don't follow the code, just like Kioba did, we kick them out. Period. We don't entertain them. Like it's certain dudes. If we found out you touch little boys or little girls, you kicked out. Period. That's how we handle things as men. And matter of fact, not only can you not be a part of Kioba, now you can't even walk on the same block that we walking on. You need to, when you see us walking, go on the other side of the street. And that's what real men do. Real men hold down the community and protect the community. And that doesn't mean we gotta fight, kill, none of that. No, it's just like, yo, you're against our morals and values. Please stay away.
Right.
Stay
I
away.
think that's the
Social
proper way
distance.
to do it. It doesn't have to get violent. It doesn't have to get to that point. But there should be, I would even go so far, and I don't know if this is a thing, I don't even want to go there. But I was gonna talk about like maybe like because I mean I know that there's like this thing where if you're like a father who's like kind of like a deadbeat dad and people still like allow that person to come around and interact to be at the barbecues and stuff. It's like, fam, take care of your kids, fam. Where the tweets at, Raphael?
Tweet. So Charles, you had a tweet. You said I study rich people's moves like homework.
That was a Nipsey Hustle line that I heard while I was probably playing Madden, and and it just makes sense. But what really why it's really relevant is it's so weird how many people are criticizing and trying to talk crazy to Elon Musk, the richest person in the world. You got people on an app that he owns saying he's making mistakes. He's firing people that doesn't make any sense. He's bringing back people who are controversial. It's like, bruh, just watch and learn. You're doing too much talking and not enough learning. And so when like people who are at that level are doing things, I'm not here to provide criticism because I'm not at that level. I saw somebody tweet something about like how at one point in time the crypto guys were making fun of Warren Buffett for not getting involved. And look at him now. When Warren Buffett talks, I listen. When successful, wealthy people talk, I listen. And I would say that that's a part of studying rich people's moves. Some of my favorite books are those autobiographies or biographies of very wealthy businessmen. I like to look back at their story, see how they started, see how they maneuvered through things. You learn a lot from those. I'm gonna read that before I just go take somebody's opinion. I'm gonna go and get the advice. You really got to look at the results of the people who you're allowing speak into your life, or you're allowing to let comment on opinions that you might have. Like, what are the results? And so I see this a lot. I get into debates on the internet a lot of times with people who are not married, people who won't ever get married, people who were not married at any point in time. And they're over here telling me what should be and how things should be done. And I'm like, who is you? I don't care about your opinion. I care about what you've accomplished because it's so easy to say things. And what I found is I don't really want to do too much talking anymore. I want to do acting. So one of the, I think it's the very first law of power is to win through action, never through argument. I don't ever want to talk. I just want to do and show. I'll let y'all do the talking. I'll let y'all do the debate, and I'll let you tell me what won't work. I'm gonna just do the work and see how it pans out, as opposed to just sitting on the sideline saying that won't work, that's too hard, that's impossible, blah blah blah. And so it's just interesting that you have. It blows my mind to see all the criticism of Elon Musk because it's like you guys don't even know what you're talking about. You don't own a multi-billion-dollar company. You never acquired a multi-billion-dollar company. You never built a multi-billion-dollar company. He's built several, built and sold. PayPal was $1 billion company. His fraction of it was $400 million. Like, come on now. If you're splitting $400 million, that's a pretty damn valuable company. Most people are never at that table. You're at the table with partners of $1 billion company. Do you know what kind of information that you're receiving? Do you know what kind of advisors, what kind of lawyers, what kind of accountants, what kind of consultants he has in this squad? Elon Musk isn't just haphazardly doing things. So instead of criticizing him, maybe you should take some coaching. Maybe you should just be quiet and watch and see how it pans out. It happens all the time. They do it to Kanye. Kanye's wrong. He's this. Kanye's a billionaire. I don't know if he's a billionaire anymore, but he was one. He's been at tables. He's had advisors. And you got people on the internet with nothing but a cell phone to their name on here criticizing these people. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that, man. And I think a lot of times within our community, we really get in our own way. Um, and I'll admit, my at one point I wasn't able to grow because I always thought to be a business owner, you got to do everything on your own, by yourself, boots on the ground. That's how you get respect. Man, I hired a project manager and it's been the awesome thing ever. And I recognize, like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. Because even though the profit percentage is lower, now you're able to do other things. Now I'm able to take Riley to school, pick her up from school, spend time with family, and or now I'm able to have that creative mindset where I'm not so tired all the time, right? Because one thing as a boss, you better master your mind. You better master your mind. You better gain knowledge, and you better make those connections. And you can't always do that if you're constantly in the field. And so I'm telling anyone, man, if you're at that point, build a team. Build a team.
Um, so you brought on people. Are you making less money in total or just less money per customer? Because
Great point.
ideally,
It's less money and customer. At first, it was less money in total, but then
right,
you're able to expand more, and now it's like to affinity and beyond.
right.
At first, it was like you was your cap is right here. Now it's to the world. It's to the moon. It's to the moon. And,
I'm
and what
having
I learned too is I had to and this different from each business, right? Some businesses work out, some businesses don't. But I was struggling with paying contractors because I was treating them as employees. But we started hiring people who are business owners and collaborating with other businesses. And even though the profit may change, the credibility and the work and the performance was just top notch. And if you're ever working with any big company, you just don't have time to be dealing with people who are going to be, getting high on the job, or or just leaving alcohol bottles everywhere. It's all about that professionalism component. And so you just got to collab with other business owners a lot of times to get to where you need to be. And yeah, you can grow faster, you can grow more, and everybody eats. You're not, at first you're just impacting one person. Now you're impacting the company that has 10 other people under them. Then you have another company that has 10 people under them. And so now you, instead of impacting one person, you're impacting 20 people,
hmm
right? It just magnifies your impact.
as you said that, I sent a text to my mom because she's trying to find people to help run the business, the actual, like, because she has a CPA firm and she brings in business and then she does the work. And I was like, fam, you gotta stop doing the work. Like, stop doing the work. And she's brought in employees, brought in VAs, and none of them panned out. And so I just sent her a text. I was like, why not just find a company that'll do it, and they'll take their percentage and they'll have their people do it. And then you can work it like that. And maybe you can work out a bulk deal where if you're sending them 50 clients, they're going to do it for a better rate as opposed to hiring, training, managing. Because I mean, even as an entrepreneur, that's tough. It's tough to manage employees. So if you can find another company that you can hire to do the task, now you're accomplishing your goal, you're getting your time back. But most importantly, what I wanted to get out of that statement was you took less money in the short term, but you're going to make more money in the future. And that's being a business owner isn't you doing any of the work. That's not a business. So stop calling yourself a business owner. You just are self-employed. You're self-employed. You still are an employee. You still got a job, and you still got to show up and put that time in. You can't golf randomly. You can't go to see your son do these different things, pick up your daughter from school, that kind of stuff. So we need to start system, and it's okay. It's okay to make money doing nothing. It's okay to have your marketing going automatically. It's okay to have your fulfillment going off automatically. That should be the entire goal. Your goal should be to remove yourself, get yourself out of the business. How are you going to do that? There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I recommend you work towards that because that's where the true freedom is. That's the best kind of passive income.
And I'll tell you, man, it makes vacation so much better. Like I took a vacation to Disney World. I took the vacation to Mexico. Both of them were like for a week each, right? Um, Before this year, when I did that, the business took losses every time. But now because I got stuff in place, right? We got different people working different, and everybody know their roles. People only call me when it's really bad, right? And a lot of times it's good. This is why you gotta diversify your income. A lot of times it's just a money thing. It's like, oh, okay, to fix that issue, it's gonna be $1,000. All right, I'll take $1,000. That's nothing, right? Not saying to anybody trying to downplay it, but y'all, you know, sometimes compared that $1,000 compared to you getting lawyers, they going through the system, and now you got to pay the lawyer fees and everything like that. You get taxed, and $1,000 problem turns to $10,000 problem. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. I'm not trying to downplay no money here or loss, but yeah.
Where the tweets at, Raphael?
Charles, you said you had a tweet earlier. You said they can steal my ideas, but they can't steal my brain.
Man, we was golfing today, and I was talking to Dan, and Dan told me that HiveMind has been doing so well that now they have people that are imitating HiveMind and creating their own HiveMind. And I was telling him, I was like, what's interesting? It was probably somebody from the inside. Probably somebody came in, they were a customer,
Yep.
they saw what you were doing, and they were like, we're going to do our own thing. And he was like, in fact, that actually did happen to him. And so we were just talking about different ways to kind of like protect what you build. And I was just telling him, I was like, people have taken different things from me, but they didn't take my brain. And my brain, and where that thought kind of came from, I was like, you know what? I was like, we're over here looking at like software companies. We're looking at $1 billion opportunities. That's where we're trying to go. So I was like, they might have stole the $100,000, but they didn't steal the billion, because the billion is here, and they don't got this. All they got is what I tweet about or what I post or what I put online. They don't actually have the thought and the layers of education, the layers of information, and the years of all these different things, the different things I've been exposed to. And so
And
that's
the
why I
social
can't,
capital that you got, bro.
and that too. And so I was like, I can't even really get too mad. I just got to focus on the level up. It's like, all right, I built something, and it certain parts of it failed because of this, and this. But that next thing, yeah. So
It's
they
been
can't
it's
take
been
that.
awesome, Charles, seeing you sort of reach this pinnacle, right? Especially as being, one of the day ones, bro. And I just remember the thought process of doing the options course. Man, bro, I
Hold
already,
on.
I already knew you had $1 million idea. I was
Hold on.
like, yo, I was about to pay somebody to actually teach me that. I was like,
I
yo,
just,
you couldn't get it out quicker enough for me, yo.
I just realized this right now. And I don't have you been on this show before?
I never been
No.
on this show before
I just
ever.
realized something. So I put out the options course, right? As a pre-sale. And it was just a pre-sale. The course wasn't created. And I get a text from LaMontre. He's like, bro, you gonna drop this course or what?
Oh, it was him.
Yeah, it was him. And I was like, all right, let me get in this thing. And so I had already had the slides drafted out. I just didn't have the courage to get in there and record it. So like that text pushed me. And I was like, all right, let me get in there. So I went in there, recorded the course, dropped the course. I was like, all right, it's done. Like here. So he actually was probably the first person, if not one of the first people to even buy the course. And so it's kind of cool that he's on the show because, yeah, like, thank you for that.
Yo,
Thank you for that
bro.
put.
And that's how you know, as a brother, yo, I love you, man. I want to see other people see when you're successful. You want to see other people be successful, bro.
Right.
It's no hate, it's no envy, it's no, oh yeah, I need to create that because that person created. It's like, nah, I know I can't do everything. Do what you do that you good at,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll support. Period. Like I support a lot of artists here in Baltimore. Like a lot of artists don't get love, and so I'll occasionally book an artist, and then over top of it, layer it with like a $1,000 grant or something, so they can go buy equipment. And you'd be surprised. I got one guy who wanted to do videos, right? And I said, okay, uh, help me out. Boom. And he helped me, and I said, here goes the money, so you can buy the equipment, your camera, upgrade your camera. He already tripled that money in 1 month. And that's why it's important for us to invest back in our community, because we always get back at tenfold. And now I'm able to just hit him up. Hey, bro, we about to release this restaurant. We need pictures and videos. He like, I got you. I'm like, how much is gonna be? Yo, you family, nothing. It comes back to you in tenfolds every time. You gotta invest into your community, man. People
You
got
got to.
dreams out here. We never know which one's gonna pop. We gotta support each other.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you mentioned social capital, and giving is a way to kind of like build that social capital, that equity. Because when you, as you were saying that, there's a guy who I helped him out in a few different ways. I kind of pushed him to start his business, but I also like he used the crisis money course to pay off his student loans. He don't make me pay for nothing no more. He be hooking me up, man. He be like, man, I got you. Don't even worry about it. I needed some help with like some accounting work because he's an accountant. He knocked it out, like super time constraints. I got you, man. Don't worry about it. So like you definitely like you got to give, you got to do, you got to help other people. And he's right. Successful people want people to be successful. We show up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, helping people become successful because that's the goal. And that's why they don't want too many successful people, because they know we just gonna be out here helping folks. Like there's an abundance of people that you can help. So
shout
where
out
the
to
tweets at, Rob?
shout out to John, man, because I know that's who you. I knew that was who you were talking about, man. I love him.
Oh
I
And
haven't.
I
yes,
want to shout out one organization, and I believe they do interest-free loan or very low interest loan. And that organization is called Kiva, Kiva. Um, it looks like they do stuff nationwide and internationally too. Um, yeah, good people's over there too.
Oh yeah, Kiva does like the micro loans, right?
Yes, correct, correct.
Yeah. Shout out to Luxury 3. Love my wallet. What's up, John? You gotta get him on the show. I
yeah,
don't know
we
if he's
do.
still. I don't know if he's still doing the Luxury 3 though, but I love my wallet, man. Thing is nice. It is nice. Now, Charles, you said I had a run that people would pray for.
That was a currency line.
They don't apply to you.
So I mean, just the obvious. But I think it goes back to like the imaginary billionaire thing, and how the dude was like kind of trying to come at me crazy because he had a little bit of status. He got a little
Mm.
government job, and he thinks nobody else has any status. So that's what's interesting when you talk to some people online, like people who have accomplished something think that nobody else has accomplished anything because you exist in an environment that allows a few people in. And so you start to think that, and I used to think this way. I used to really think that way because I used to work in an office where I was the only dude or only black dude. I went to college, only black dude. I mean, not college, but law school, only like one of very few black dudes. And so you start to kind of develop this exceptionalist thinking where you start to think that like you are the exception and there are no other exceptions, which is dangerous, which is another reason why that environment is toxic and we got to get out. You got to get out that you know what's funny is the movie Get Out. I think if you really look at it, it really has to do with like folks who are like trapped in that environment where they're the only black person and they don't realize like you ain't special, fam. Like if you really look at it, like they lost their soul, they're just existing, and you got to get out. And there's a lot of people who are working in corporate. They got these jobs and they don't realize that like that's not the play. We thought it was the play. I thought it was the play. LaMontre apparently thought it was the play. It's not the play. The play is building your own, doing your own thing, serving your own people. That's the real play. And so, whatever you got to do to get out, because you don't deserve to show up at a place where they treat you like you're not worthy. You don't you don't deserve to show up to a place where they don't respect you, where they don't appreciate you, where they don't speak highly of you, where they don't call you the GOAT. I ain't never been called the GOAT on the job, man. But I get called the GOAT all the time when I meet people. I ain't never been called, they ain't never said nothing real too glamorous about me, because they don't want you to think too well of yourself. I was watching this podcast with Shannon Sharp, and he was talking about contract negotiations and how when these athletes go into these contract negotiations, they come in there and they start telling you all the things that you can't do and all the things that you aren't, so they can bring your value down. So you'd be grateful that they gave you anything at all. And that's a lot of times what these jobs will do, is they'll tell you, and this is, they didn't belittle me because I was bad. They belittled me because that's their strategy. Their strategy is to get labor for as cheap as they can get it and get the most value out of that labor. So they want somebody who's high quality, who doesn't know he's high quality, so he can give him his high quality labor at a fraction. They want a country, they want a people who doesn't know they're high quality to think they're not high quality, so they'll give them their resources at a fraction. Their oil, their diamonds, their talent, their grind, all that stuff, their music, their sports talent, give it to them at a fraction while they're making massive money on top. And that's why when you have these sports leagues, when you have these NCAAs, when you have these anything that you can really name, and I think that is another thing that Kanye was really trying to bring light to, is they're getting the big piece of chicken, and you're getting the scraps and celebrating the scraps.
Celebrating the breadcrumbs. You know.
Yes. It's funny you say about like the performance reviews. It's like all of a sudden they break out this list of these things that you didn't do well for the year, or things you're not good at. All of a sudden it's like, dude, it's December. All of a sudden you have all these lists of things that wasn't doing right. I'm not good at.
I'll tell you this, man. Job means just over broke. And, you know, I had great mentors. Once again, I told you I got two fathers in my life that just emphasize, you know, building, right? Like, I didn't recognize my father, um, you know, fixing up homes was going to lead me to real estate. I hated working with him. I hated putting up, you know, gutters or, you know, or putting in HVAC systems. Now I appreciate it. Now I know what I know what I'm looking at, right? And so in some way, somehow, the black community, we were the ones who were doing a lot of the contracting work. And now we look at the young people, they don't even know what it is to nail something, put down some flooring, even painting, right? So somebody or something told us that we were no longer good at it, and that we should stop doing that, and instead go get a, they would say, government job in our community, right? They think that's the best of the best, right? When really the best of the best was us having our own companies, having our own movie theaters, right? Um, Having our own tailoring companies, right? So we could tailor suits. That's my point of view on it.
Yep. It's funny because I used to be really big on that. I kind of fell off that wagon for some reason. I think because I came to that revelation and I was just like, all right, I understand that. But I remember when I was at the event with Chris Senegal, Tim Jackson, and another brother who worked at Chase, and they asked the question of like, how do we get so far behind? And the very first thing Chris Senegal said was integration. He was like, integration is what did it. And I was like, damn, I've been saying that for a while. So much so I used to tweet that on the internet all the time. And I got some pushback, but I just kind of stopped talking about it because I already know. And I was just waiting for everybody else to figure it out. But it's so true. Like I have this thing called Hype Fury, and it allows me to see like my fire tweets. And I remember I tweeted one and it said something about like integration was to steal your businesses and your customer base. It wasn't to actually make your life better. And I didn't tweet it because I didn't want it to go on my Instagram, but it probably would have popped if it was on Instagram. But it's so true. Like when you start to look at it, like there's still a lot of segregation, but it's like convenient segregation. It's like segregation where you can't live here, but you can still work these basic jobs. You can still come and shop at our stores. But the stuff that we really want to keep segregated and separate, that's still separate. Our schools still separate. Our community still separate. Our politics still separate. Our church is still separate. We just don't talk about it. What's interesting is when I was taking con law, I started seeing all the different things that people would go through to kind of still keep integration intact in certain forms. And so you'd see all these like housing covenants. You'd read all these laws about like certain things that they would do like you'd never think of. And so it makes you wonder. It doesn't make you wonder, but it's like it didn't disappear. It just got real quiet. And so that's when you see people like Kanye and Kyrie saying things. What you got to realize is there's groups of people out there who have very negative opinions of black people, but they don't say them out loud. So you can have whatever opinion you want. You just can't put it on a podcast. You can't put it on the internet. You can't do that kind of stuff. If it's that strong and if you have that big of an influence, you can still have that opinion. You just got to share it a little bit more intelligently and get that information to people a little bit more intelligently, Kyrie. So maybe if you wanted people to watch the movie, don't put it on your Twitter. Find another way to get it to them that's not your Twitter so that you become attacked. That's why they don't do it. They still have the opinions, they still have the views, but they don't want to get attacked and get canceled and get ruined. And so I'm not saying that this is the way it should be. I'm just saying that like that's how they do it. And Kanye's not the only person that has an opinion about somebody. Kyrie's not the only person that has an opinion about somebody. They have the same opinions. They're probably worse. And they're probably way more detrimental.
And I'll say this, man. Try your best to learn from other cultures too. You know, um, I'll say, and I was in college, man. The one thing that was frustrating within my community was like, man, why my community ain't where they need to be? And so I actually minored in Asian American studies and went over to study abroad in Japan, so I could understand. Okay, oh, this is what they do. So they can make money in their community. This is what they're doing, and so just recognize, like, sometimes the answers, because we're so far behind, may not live within our community. We might need to study other communities.
Yep. And
And I think it's also, we gotta find those people within those other communities and say, okay, we know the government ain't gonna give y'all reparations, but we're gonna look out for you on this deal right here and bring you in. And this is our way of repairing the black community, you know, and with no strings attached type of stuff, right? Like I respect that, I had some people that came about it like that. You just gotta learn from other communities sometimes.
I would say that was really one of the pieces of insight for me is working in banking and being able to see people's bank accounts. So you're looking at the bank accounts of other people in different communities. And so I started to see how Asians moved. I used to see how Hispanics moved. I used to see how white folks moved. And it'll be so crazy. You would see that little Hispanic dude who don't look like he got much going on come in there and be loaded. 100K CD, 100K savings account that we're looking to put into stocks or put into some investments. We can make more money on it. And getting that insight really gives you that revelation. And then when you come and try to bring it to your people, sometimes they give you some pushback. But it's important to definitely look at what's working well for other people. Again, we're studying rich people. So we're studying rich cultures, we're studying rich communities. And then we got to take that information and apply it to our lives.
And when you start to get to a certain level, bankers, police officers, politicians, they start to respect you now. They start to know the mayor. He knows me. We've been in board meetings together. We sat on nonprofit boards together, right? He knows me, LaMontre, Randall, but he also know me as Boosie, right? My nickname, community nickname, And so when you get to a certain level, those connections really start to happen, and you really start to see just different things from different perspectives and different lights.
Yeah, man.
This is a classic episode, man.
Yeah, I already know. I got some clips I got to pull.
Charles, you said would rather be an imaginary billionaire than a lifetime government employee. We
And
kind
that
of
was
touched on that
just
already.
that was just a jab at that dude who was talking crazy to me. That's all.
But
That's
my
all it
question
was.
is this: you kind of touched on it like last episode, but how did the imaginary billionaire thing come up?
So I
I did miss that
tweeted.
one.
So there's this dude on Twitter. I don't even know his name, but he's very snooty, and he always has some like snooty comment to make, and I hate it. So he made one snooty comment, and I responded, and his response was, he was like, "Oh, blah blah blah." He's like, "The difference between you and me is my name is." What did he say? Something about like my name is how I really am, and your name is some imaginary fiction. And so I responded, and I told him that my name was Todd Millie before the Millie, and then I got the Millie, and I changed it to Billy. So I was like, it is what it is. But then I decided to own it and call myself the imaginary billionaire, because I feel like sometimes you gotta own the things that people kind of like try to call you. So it's like J. Cole says, like, if they don't know your dreams, they can't shoot them down, or something along the lines of like, if you accept your flaws, people can't use them against you.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I make light of my own thing, you can't use it to make fun of me. So, and also I kind of think it's kind of dope to be an imaginary billionaire, because I got to keep pushing towards. I call myself Todd Billy, not because I'm a billionaire, but because I want to always remind myself to work that way. And what's interesting is I say it all the time, is what you call yourself, people start calling you. And so people call me Billy now. People call me Todd Billy now. Henry was on there. He's like, yeah, Charles Todd Millie. Well, he goes by Todd Billy now. So it's like, you know, I'd rather live in my imagination than a effed up reality. I'd rather live where I'm going than just sit there and dwell. And so many people just sit there and dwell, and they're like, oh, well, it's not going to ever happen to me. It's impossible. And they just give up. And every day I wake up and I at least try to get to the B. I'm gonna have $1 billion conversations. I'm gonna think of $1 billion ideas. I'm going to, and so much so, like now I have a notepad. It's like, all right, what's my $1 billion idea? I have all these ideas that I have that I can create, that I see voids in the market, that I can actually do something and solve a massive problem. And so when you start looking at billions, you got to solve a problem for a lot of people. If you want to make millions, you got to solve a problem for a few people. If you want to make billions, you got to solve a problem for the world. And so now I'm looking at what is a gap in the world that I can solve and create a solution for. And that's what happens when you step into your imagination.
And that's how Todd Capital International came about.
So, I mean, you can't let these people. For the longest time, I let people determine if I was hot. I let their opinion determine if I was like that dude. And then I decided I'm not doing that anymore. I decided that I'm that dude. And you can agree or disagree, but a lot of times what happens is the people who are disagreeing are the people who are in competition with you, or the people who are comparing themselves to you. And so I can't allow the opinion of somebody who is constantly measuring themselves against me to determine how I feel a bit about me. I got to determine that.
I'm so happy you said that, bro. I had to deal with that, man, and get into the comfort zone of being a great black man and sitting in that comfortability. When I was 23 years old, I'm 29 now. Um, I was selected to be the first chair. It's the first time this ever happened to of the Baltimore Police Youth Advisory Board, and within that, we were charged in pretty much holding the police accountable when it came to anyone 28 and under. And we I was working on an initiative um where we was going to go grassroots, um and it's called Millennials on the Ground, and we were going to do ride-alongs with police, grade the police officers on how they engage youth, and come up with better strategies on how they could better serve the community. This came out of because the Baltimore police were under a consent decree under Obama administration, where pretty much it was like sort of like a lawsuit, I would say, where the police get monitored. Um, I was on the Steve Harvey show. It gave me a lot of publicity. I was on Steve Harvey show and everything. And it was just a couple of dudes, right, that weren't doing nothing, right, with their lives, but always had some commentary. Always like, oh yeah, you working with the feds, oh this and that. It's like, yo, no, I'm working to uplift my community. Do you know my story? Like I almost got killed by the police. That's why I'm taking this so seriously. We got to make sure we raise the people that wear those uniform and badges that had those powers. We got to raise their intellectual capabilities so they don't think that every black person that they see is just out to do something, some sort of crime. And it takes certain leaders to sit within that, to take those certain punches, and to still be able to walk the streets. And I'm still able to walk the streets every day, every day. I'm getting shown love, and I will tell you, man. At the age of 23, I allowed folks who I never saw personally, who probably always in the house, to distract me from executing on goals that should have been done. And so I'll tell you that, man, that's one of my biggest things. Um, I'll say one of my biggest regrets was really not pushing the needle on that further.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also the police department could have, worked with me a little bit better with helping to execute it. Um, but I will say on my end, I'll take responsibility and I'll tell this to my community whenever. Like at 23, I wish I had enough wisdom and know-how to get through that sort of emotional toughness that it took.
I would say that a lot of it kind of comes with age because you start to
Yeah.
see how the people's lives pan out who try to speak out against you. And so it's like, but I also think that if you're doing anything, it's like Malcolm X said, if you don't want to be criticized, just be nothing, say nothing, and do nothing. And so if you're doing something, anything, you're going to have half a group of people who hate your guts and half a group of people that love you to death. And so just because you have people that are saying crazy things doesn't mean you're not doing something dope. It just means they don't get it yet. Or if they do get it, maybe they're hateful, they're jealous, they wish they could be doing what you're doing. And so you getting hate isn't an indicator to stop. It's not an indicator to say like, oh, maybe this isn't right. Just because somebody's saying something negative about you, it's gonna happen. The negativity is going to come. And a lot of people don't start anything, they don't do anything because they're afraid of the hate. Embrace the hate. Because what's interesting is with the Kanye situation, and a lot of social media is filtered and algorithmed out. But it's not but what's not filtered and algorithm out is the comments. And so if you go on Twitter, you're gonna see a lot of people saying crazy stuff about Kanye. But if you go on Kanye's post and read the comments, it's nothing but love. So how is it somebody who's getting so much hate also getting so much love? I think that's very interesting. So it's not your responsibility to please all people. It's your responsibility to please yourself. But in pleasing yourself, remember you're going to get two sides of the coin, hate and love. And the
Yeah.
hate's not an indication that you're doing something wrong.
They probably I know people was definitely saying, and I wish I had a chance to meet with Dr. Claude Anderson when he came talk in Baltimore. But I knew a lot of people probably was like, what is this guy talking about? But now we understand. And even when it came to that Dame Dash interview, right, on Breakfast Club, which is still a classic. I remember I was like, everybody was like, man, this dude don't know what he's talking about. Man, shut up. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy's making a lot of sense. Why is everybody saying that? And you're right. Only time. Time a lot of times really dictate, oh, okay, that person is right. I think it's important for us to really, and I don't know why we don't do this enough, but we really need to work on listening to our elders who are doing it right, had the right morals and values in place, that already went the wrong way and try and tell us the right way to go about it. Because right now we're so far behind, we got a learning curve. We can't be making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
We gotta take the lessons from the big homies.
Yeah. It becomes an echo chamber. A lot of people online are just listening to their peers. And so you have girls talking to girls, getting advice from girls. Where the women at? Where the women at? Where your mom? Where your grandma? Somebody who can give you some sense. You over here thinking you know better. And a lot of the reasons why I've been able to accomplish certain things is because I just listen to adults. I never listen to my peers. I only listen to people that are ahead of me and have lived that life and are living a life that I deem admirable. So there's people out there who they are older than me, but they don't have what I want. I don't care about your opinion. But the people who are older than me and have the marriage I want, have the kids I want, have the house I want, have the health that I want. That's what I'm tapping into. I'm not just tapping into you just because you're older, but it's a qualified older person. Again, we're looking at the results, not just the person with an opinion and a voice. Everybody got an opinion and a voice. There's people that I know that are living off of people, but are telling that person how to do things. Like, how does that even work? I'm not going into the details, but like, I know people who literally could not live if not for getting help from somebody, and they don't want to hear nothing that person has to say. So, yeah, Raphael, let's get a few more tweets and let's get out of here. I got to be out here at 8:30. We got 7 minutes.
Man, we're wrapping it up right now. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Tweet Talk Pod. That's POD. Follow myself, Raphael, on Twitter at Work Money Life. Follow Charles on Twitter at Rail Todd Billion, because there's only one. Follow our guy LaMontre Randall. It's about time we linked up, man. On Twitter at LaMontre21.
21. Yep.
That's LaMontre LaMontre 21. Be sure to follow Kioba Business Ventures online. Tell them where you can find more information, LaMontre.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram, Entrepreneur, ENTREYPRENOIR, Entrepreneur. My nickname is Trey, so I try to play with the entrepreneur word. Follow me even if you on Facebook, man. LaMontre Randall. I'm there. LaMontre, last name Randall. Follow Kioba on all platforms at Kioba KIOBA Ventures, and we'll be there to help out in any way, shape, or form that we're able to. Um, yeah, and I want to dedicate the show to, if you don't mind, uh, to one of Baltimore fallen soldiers. He was a rapper. I tried to get him on the right path, but I love bro to death. But he's just one of the reasons why I go so hard. His name is Darian. Baltimore know him as Big Six, BIG, the number six, IXX. He passed away due to gun violence, but I still uh just want everybody to know this is why we do it. Why we do what we do. We really want to make sure brothers get the right products in their hands. So.
Yeah. Before we head out, it's interesting that you say that. That could have been a topic in itself, but it's interesting because, and I've made this comment before, that a lot of times we see like when the big name rappers get killed, and we don't realize like this stuff goes on every day. And so it's actually a serious issue and a serious problem that needs to be addressed.
Every local rapper in Baltimore is like every time I turn around, is getting killed. It's one of the it's it's definitely one of the most dangerous hobbies. It's like once they see somebody starting to shine, it's like yeah, it's like the block. You can't stay on that block. When really, I'm looking at all these different areas in our nation. Everybody got more than one rapper. Why in Baltimore do we think only one rapper need to be hot? We need all our brothers to live. We need all of us to come and work together, and so we could become this national brand. But we can't do that if whenever somebody starts to get over 20,000 views in each video, get killed. We're killing them
Mm.
at they haven't even hit their prime, and so I'm begging the community to please if you got anybody that's looking for work opportunities, especially in construction, and they're located in Baltimore, I could hook them up with some work. Tell them hit me up. I'll get them in a job training program, get them on the right path. So
LaMontre's a good dude, man. Like
appreciate that,
a
bro.
lot of a lot of like stuff he said is just like super solid. Um, so it was a great episode, great conversation, great linking up again. He hit us with a text, and we was immediately on it. Got him on the show
Y'all
the
were
next day.
y'all were.
So
Appreciate
I
y'all,
was
man. And
saying, man. The
Raphael,
funny
man,
thing
hopefully
is
this ain't the last time I talk to you, man.
yeah,
I need to go to a conference. I'm trying to figure out what's the next conference I need to go to.
mm,
Please let me know the next conference you go to, man. We could link up, and break bread. And,
yeah,
and Charles, I did all this business with Charles. I never met him in person yet. And so
right.
I need to make that happen. I need to make that happen. So
Let's
Man,
do it.
then we should have talked sooner, man. It's been too long. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
I
we
agreed.
should
think
we should
you
we
know
should have
what's
connected.
funny is
We
I
should have
think
connected soon.
we plan to do it, just never taken action on doing it because I don't think this is the first time he's reached out about this or made mention of it. I think he said like I got to be on the show, and we just never like knocked it in. So that's why I be trying to do stuff because it's like man, let's get it done. You got one last tweet because I like to record that part.
Yeah, I got one actually, but it's like it's so funny though. He said, "Tell me when's the next conference." Like, I met Charles for the first time last year at Erica Williams thing in DC. That's like right up your alley. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's crazy. So many people have made money with Charles and never met Charles. That's the power of this social network. You know, you could easily like it's hard for me sometimes to get like-minded people around my age, to think about certain stuff like this. But with social media, I could easily connect and network and build. And I trusted this dude with my money, and I never met him because I
Well,
know from experience of who's a stand-up dude who's really about execution, who's not. And you only learn that, like my brother said, through time.
I would say what's interesting about that is the only like is weird, but I had a hard time finding people who got it too. Like to this day, I have conversations with family members, they still don't get it. Like the only reason
mm,
I was able to find people that could get it is because of the internet. Like friends, family, it doesn't make sense to them. Like I don't really know too many people in my close family that really get it. I got like an uncle, he gets it. But other than that, and he's a millionaire. Like other than that,
uh,
I don't know too many. So it's like I had to go to the internet, and I really didn't even go to the internet for that. I was just kind of sharing my truth and just trying to find people to talk to, really. And it
And
was found from
my family call me. They joke, but it's some serious in it. They call me Tommy all the time. Like Tommy ain't got no job.
man. I got to read that book you told me to buy about those Baltimore businessmen. I got to read those books, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. First of all, shout out to the legend, Baltimore legend, Reginald F. Lewis. And his book is Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And it's a boss book. He's smoking a cigar. Hopefully, it's a Padron because I love Padrones. And you know what I'm saying? Just a classic book. Made $1 billion empire. Was a lawyer. Got into Harvard just off the strength. Like I think he was like the first ones getting into Harvard without even applying or something crazy like that. And then there's another book called They Call Me Little Willie. It's a black book. Little Willie Adams, he was the numbers runner in Baltimore, but he also was the guy that helped push for a lot of blacks to get elected in Baltimore, and also for a lot of businesses uh, to get to where they need to be, including Henry Parks, which is Parks Sausages, which I believe was one of the first black companies in Baltimore to hit the stock market.
And he has a
I need
book
to
too.
double check that, but yeah.
Yeah, the Park Sausage Guy has a book too. I have that book. Take us
And
out,
his
Raphael.
book is called Businessman First.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're gonna leave you guys with one last tweet. Key to wealth, folks. Like Charles said, the things you create over the hours you work for people who create things. Keep that in mind.